Hey, what's up guys? It's Peyton here. It's been a minute. I still want to do more gaming stuff, but this is Airsoft related. And it's Halo related. This. This is the Helios Airsoft Halo M7. It's very cool. You might be able to hear my printer in the other room leveling itself. It's printing more pieces for this. So this video is going to kind of be once I get all the pieces printed and once I actually get the AAP that's going to go in this. I'll sort of film my process of putting it together and how to put it together, I guess. This is the current plan, is just sort of wait for everything to print. The idea today is to make this intro here for this. I don't have any of the screws yet, so this is kind of just being held together by like friction and whatnot. Yeah, AAP is going to go in here. The bolt and stuff is going to go up here. And barrel. And this is just held on with a piece of blue tape. Yeah. AAP is coming in the mail. Some upgrade parts are coming for it because I was recommended to get upgrade parts for it. But this is essentially the same or a similar system to, if you've seen my previous video on my previous Airsoft video, I think, was it was my video on the most interesting Magnum. One second. This guy. It's the same person made this kit, made this kit. There's an AAP somewhere in here. Can I see the bolt of the AAP right there? But it's the same idea. This is just a much larger, more intricate kit, I guess. So that's the current plan. I'm going to wait for the rest of the pieces to be printed. I'm actually going to be reprinting the rear receiver and the front receiver here in gray because this is my last print with the black filament that I have, and I have nothing but gray. So I'm going to actually reprint these two, and then with the rest of the pieces also going to be in gray, it's going to be a two-tone SMG. Right, so like this will be black, right, but then the front and the rear cap are going to be gray. The stock tube will be black, but the stock will be gray. The suppressor will be black, but all the suppressor attachment pieces right here will also be gray. I do have the mag section here. And the mag is printing right now, so that's the plan. So my dumbass forgot the front end of the SMG. Apparently I just missed it for like the last week of priming and sanding, so to have the rest of it just about done. Somehow I got the back of it, of the receiver, but not the front of it, so now I'm gonna do that after I've already sort of kind of done the finishing parts of these. Okay. As you can see here, I have most of the parts sort of scattered on the desk here. They should be, I think I should have everything. Not everything's right in front of me. There's some stuff this way, there's some stuff that way. This is most of the pieces. So this segment is going to be very long. I'll fast forward and cut up pieces here and there that are nothing, but I want to be as thorough as possible trying to show you the assembly process of this whole thing. And the disassembly process as well of the AAP, which I need to grab still. Here it is, still in the box. The only thing I did to it was put in the mag, made sure that it functioned. There's the AAP. I highly recommend, if you're using this video as sort of a guide to put together this SMG, I would highly recommend the video that I'm going to be following. It's the video I followed last time as well, from Waldo Dynamics, their video on how to disassemble and reassemble an AAP. They take apart basically the entire thing and put it back together. So that's what I'm going to be following, sort of on the side here. I'm going to kind of be showing that as well here, but taking apart the AAP is probably going to be, you're probably going to be better off watching that video. I'll kind of show what I'm doing as well, just in case, like, just cuz. But the actual assembly of this is what I'm going to be showing more. And I have here my trusty iPad. Okay, here we go. On the Helios Airsoft website, you can get this PDF, or I guess it's a Google. You can get this from his website. It basically walks you through the process of not taking apart the AAP, but what you need from it and how to put it together. So I'm going to be following this as best I can, and sort of showing you how it works, because this is a pretty solid guide for all of it, but to have it in video and visualize it, probably going to be a little easier to follow. So that I'm going to leave over on the side for now until I get this disassembled. I'll probably need to modify a couple of these pieces because I haven't like fully put this together yet before, because half of these pieces are, you know, pretty freshly painted and whatnot. So they're going to be a little tight, so I might have to do a little bit of trimming and sanding. That's okay. But here we go. This is kind of all you need for most AAP things. I do have this box to my side over here. You can't see it, I don't think. This has all the screws and springs and stuff in it. I will show them as I'm assembling this whole thing, so everything visually makes sense. Again, the section is going to be longer. If you want to just keep this going in the background because you want noise, great. If you actually want to follow through with this, also great. Either way, let's get into it. Let's re-figure out how to do this, because I've already done this once. I did this for my Magnum kit. So let's do it again.
I do know how to do this already.
I don't think we need these pieces anymore.
Oops.
I do have a new barrel for this. Recommended from the from Helios Airsoft, from Spec Ops himself. There is a nozzle spring and a recoil spring that they recommend from Waldo, as well as a short stroke kit. I will be putting this in kind of as I go, once I feel like I'm in the right spot. So let's figure that out. Okay, so editing Peyton here. Previous Peyton then spends the next like 45 minutes trying to figure out how to install a short stroke kit, a recoil spring, and a nozzle spring into the bolt of this AAP. It's really not that hard. Previous Peyton is just kind of an idiot. I am going to cut this part out so I don't embarrass myself later. So this is the N7S, the M7S nozzle. It's supposed to just fit. Oh, I guess it does fit onto here. It's a little sticky, but you know what? That's probably fine. It's probably fine. We're gonna roll with it. If I have problems later, that's on me. This is the M7S nozzle. I probably should have printed this in a much higher quality than I did, but I think it'll be fine. It'll also break in at some point a little more. Oh, I forgot there's more to this. Shoot. I forgot there's actual pieces to this. Just like little shavings off of it. Okay. Now that I've remembered to put the nozzle together, hopefully this will go in. There we go. Pliers and kind of there we go. Beautiful. Yeah, I believe this is technically going to be our new hop area. I do have to clean this up a little bit, but I believe this has this little hop arm right here. This little hop rubber arm corresponds with that one there. I believe that's what this is going to be. Yes, okay. I should just do this now to get it out of the way. So, if you've never done this before, you turn your hop. If I can turn it. You turn it so that it lines up with this little screw there, and then you just unscrew this whole thing. Inner barrel bucking attached to the hop-up chamber and insert into the outer barrel. So no, we literally just need the bucking, and I'm going to take this long newer barrel, shove it on there. Take this, right? No, take it like this, slap it on here. I think it's technically on, so we're gonna run with it. And then we're gonna put this side on here, close it as best we can. I tried to fit this in the outer barrel earlier, and I know it's a crazy tight fit, so let's go this way. Okay, no, that's not that bad. Okay, it just goes in like that, and your hop is right here. And I believe this nub right here, I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see that. This is also a tiny little piece right here. It's not perfectly square, it's round on one side. That goes down, I believe, onto the hop rubber like that, so the little dot is on top. Now this I need to be careful with so I don't toss that piece, so it's gonna go over here. I think technically we can put it in here actually to be safe, because I don't think we do anything with this until later anyway. So we can basically just shove this thing, let's do it this way, shove this thing into the receiver, hop up like this, and we shove it in like that, and it'll be seated all the way at the end. Now for the lower, which I'm less excited for. If you've seen my last video about the, I don't think it's my last video, but my last airsoft video about the most interesting Magnum, the Black Ice. Did I drop one of those screws? I did. The Black Ice Magnum. This part sort of haunted me for a while, and I don't think it'll be any different now, because we have to take essentially everything but this little safety block right here. So we have to take this section. I don't think we need the slide release. We don't need the slide release anymore, which that's good. That was a problem I had trying to get this in here. But we need the trigger bar, the trigger spring, and this whole pack back here. And all of that is going to fit right here. So let's get to that. Screws right here. Again, I am just following this Waldo Dynamics video of how to disassemble and reassemble your AAP. It's a very good, well-shown video, so that's why I'm a little less detailed on the actual disassembly part. Safety out. Screw here. I'm basically just going to be doing these steps backwards again. Making sure I kind of know where all these screws are. I don't really have the best setup for this, but when have I ever done anything like a... It's not true craftsmanship if it's not yours, you know? This is my setup, so... He recommends a punch. Good enough. Keep that pin safe. Video. He just said keep it on something you can clearly see. I can see the black parts on this black mat, yeah, on my mouse pad. Trigger spring. I'm going to be trying to keep every piece that I believe I need, or I might need. Ooh. Oh, there it goes. I think this is the part where I switch over to sort of half and half of this here. You need to find out which screw I need. Oh, don't get attached to that. In here, this is the sort of mock bolt, and a 3x10 goes in here to lock the charging handle in. That is something I did beforehand because I wanted to sort of glue and weld this piece, the bolt handle on, so that I know it wouldn't, you know, it'd have a better chance of surviving later. They do say on them 2x8. Is that right? 2x8. Okay. These little set screws right here. Get one of these absolutely tiny screws out, and we'll set it right here in the middle. So there is 2 pinholes here for the 2 pins that we pushed this out of. Let me get back to this video. Okay. So essentially what I'm doing here, trying to take the trigger, put it in this little section here, the trigger bar, sorry, while also just sort of shoving this down into here. You can see where this pinhole is going to line up with that pin spot there. It's a little finicky, but if I can get this trigger, there we go. It's gonna want to be like this. Then you stick your trigger in first. So keep it here. Get this in the right spot and push it down. this pin in. Then we're going to put the other pin. There we go. Punch. I have a hammer for the punch somewhere, but I don't want to open the box again. So out comes the tomahawk. There. Sticking out? Nope. Okay. That's all in now. Great. Cool. Future Peyton here. I'm going to struggle with the next bit of this build for a while. The next couple of parts are just me not being good at getting the thing together, but there are parts in this video where I'm going to be missing pieces or not having the right screw or the screw length or something like that. That is entirely my fault. That's not on Helios. I guess at some point or another I forgot to download the newest material list that is provided with you if you get the download files for this SMG. I have, I think, version 2's material list, and version 4 is what the SMG currently is. So I guess I got the updated files for the thing, but not the updated material list. And that's just me being dumb and not triple checking that that was correct. So blame me for the like 5 or so parts where I don't, have the right screw. I figure it out. I use substitutes. I'm fine with it. It still works. It works out in the end. I do mess up the stock quite bad, at least how you're supposed to do it, but we'll get to that later. Oh yes, trigger spring part. This might be our next step here. This trigger spring is tiny. This is going to hook onto the hook right here, like that. And then it's lined up with there. That's where your screw is going to go. I'd almost recommend putting the screw in first and screwing this side in and then pulling this over the trigger. This may be the worst decision I've ever made in my life, but drill. Voiceover editing Peyton here again. Previous Peyton did not have the right bit, both in Allen key or Torx or anything, to put this screw in properly. So what he did was he put the little tiny screw into the chuck of a drill and screwed it in with a drill. I would not recommend this. However, if it is all you got, it eventually might just work, as it did for me. Okay. This is going to be very hard to see, but I believe I have the trigger spring. Yeah, I got it in there, so we're good. Now we just have to take the trigger spring and put it on the trigger. Hey. Okay, it might be slightly mangled, but it's on there. Sweaty in here. God, can't take these high pressure situations. Okay, We have that part in. Hooray, huzzah, confetti. I don't know how to edit, so there's not going to be confetti there. So I just put this pin in for the trigger now. Make sure trigger lines up here. Didn't do a very good job of making sure that lines up there, huh? Okay, now that's lined up. Push this all the way into here. I'm going to just take the tip of the needle nose, kind of press that in there. Okay. Trigger works. Okay. I think the trigger and everything works. M3 by 8. I guess I don't. What the hell? How am I missing one of the screws? Okay, we're gonna abandon ship and use 3x6s. Because I got a lot of them and they're close enough. Where is the trigger guard? Where did I put the trigger guard? Oh, it's right in front of me. I put glue on this so I could lay it down like this and have it only be contacted on here so I could paint the whole thing. There we go. Now that shouldn't be a problem. Just to be safe, give it a couple more turns. Okay. That should be on there. Okay, next step. Secure it. The next step would be this bit. Secure the front end with the front end, or secure the barrel with the front end. That'll just go over that. On the top and bottom, 3x6. 3mm by 6, or M3 by 6. Okay. So here's the M3 by 6s. These are the shorter ones. One goes on the top here. And one more on the bottom here. I am really glad that I reprinted both the front and the back. The front and the back were originally black, but the actual connecting bits, these ones that sort of take the screws, were real messed up. Like this one's a little messed up, but the black prints that I had for some reason were very messed up. Just for those two mainly. So that should be secure in there. I believe what's being said here as well is the M3 by 20 screw. Yeah, these M3 by 20 screws, I'm fairly certain are the hop-up screws, and they go in, I believe it goes in this hole, if I had to guess. Because the top rail, which is right here, lines up like this pretty well. No, lines up like, wait. No, it lines up like this So this hole right here, I believe, is going to be the hop-up hole. I will get to that later. So the foregrip. This is the foregrip spring. I don't have the specs for this spring right off the top of my head. It goes in the foregrip here, or in this lower section of the foregrip. This is going to be the actual thing you're going to be using to adjust the position of it. It's going to sit like this. The actual foregrip itself is right here. So these parts will just end up sliding into here. And then these holes on this side and this side line up with those holes. Those are secure the latch base with 3x10s. Okay. This should have some spring tension. This will go right here and lock here, and then you pull it down and it'll unlock to there. 3x20s. Okay. You're going to need these two pieces as well. These sit like this, and supposedly this screw will connect both of these. I don't have a long enough screw, I guess, so we're just gonna pray, basically. So we put this on here, stick this bolt through, and by itself, I mean, just that bolt is damn near enough to keep this thing in place. But this screw here, but it is just sticking into this bit here. So theoretically, I should be able to pull this down, set it up, and it locks into place. Pull this down, bring it there, locks into place. So that is on there. Next line of action here. The next line of action would be this bolt again. This is the 3x10 into here. So this part, there is a printable version of this rod for, I guess, testing and sizing, but he recommends getting about the same size rod in metal. I have to now figure out how to chop this end off. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Let me see if I can get it on camera. The right above the loop of the light right there, that's the bolt, that's the charging hand, or that's the little rod. Next will be the back plate and the stock tube. This simply kind of fits into there, and then there's also going to be screws put into it. The M5x16. Okay, so these two screws are going to go in here. Editing Peyton here once again. This picture of these little inserts are the next part that I messed up. You're supposed to sink 2 of these inserts into the hole in the stock and then insert the screws into them. I do not do that because I am an idiot. So, oops. I straight up just forgot to do this part. My bad. Okay, so I've come up with my version of a temporary solution, or a solution that I may or may not update later. I don't know if you'll be able to see it at all, but there's a little bit of super glue right there. I have just filled this whole thing with super glue and a little on the top,
and just sort of shove this together with these bolts, it's gonna hold for now. It's gonna be fine for now. Okay. Next step. Okay, so here's your M5 by 6mm. We need this piece here. This piece will go onto the back of the bolt like this. And I believe we just screw this on. Yes, so the bolt sort of slides onto this nub right here. Getting it on and off, I feel like is going to be a little bit of a pain. But this acts like your AAP top sight, and we'll hold it there, and that's what it'll recoil on. You can kind of slide this up into here. You kind of have to get this to push the recoil spring bit forward, and then you kind of fold it in there. Okay. Theoretically, this works. We're gonna test it out. Okay, I think I might have to do some smoothing of some parts, but it does push it all the way back. I have to do some smoothing of some parts. I'm gonna do that right now so I don't have to retake this apart later.
Okay. So, I have new day, new me here. I have not put this fully together. I've just been sort of fitting the bolt most of yesterday. This bit here. I was running into an issue with this guy. It's too long still. It basically needs to be flush with this, maybe even further back. But I have it tightened as much as I possibly can in there. So I'm gonna have to try and just sort of sand down this end, because this, in the end, needs to get like a little, you know, like 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch more into there. But it's just about ready. Just about it. It seems, you know, I've sort of put these halves together, but because that piece, this piece is sticking out just a little bit, the bolt here is not resetting this little piece right here. It's not hitting this little bit so that it can fire. I'm gonna work on this. Once that's done, the rest of the assembly will go. Okay, I have a little bit of work to do. Just a little bit of work to do. But what I've been doing is trying to make this bolt move a little more smoothly. You can hear it back there. Oh. See, it doesn't want to reset the trigger, because, hold on, there we go. See, it's just about ready. And a huge tip from me is this piece seems like it's very hard to get on and off. I didn't really do a good job of exploring this in the last part of the video. It's actually very easy to get on and off.
I would just recommend you pull on the follower, the spring follower, and sort of tuck it in like that, twist, and it's on. That's it. So, and then to get it off, try and get the follower down a little, and then you can kind of just like pull it out. But it's pretty easy to get on and off. Well, in my absolute genius, I dropped the bolt like a doofus. So I'm gonna have to reprint this part. So I'll be right back in like an hour or two when this is reprinted. God damn it. Okay. This is why you don't drop your bolt with your nozzle on. Luckily, what you just saw was me printing a new one. Hopefully in stronger quality than I did before. And that means I have to take everything out of that nozzle and put it in the new one. This nozzle, the old one, was why the mechanism was not actually that smooth. I have now tested it without the nozzle inserted. This, if I can line it up, smoothly goes in and out of this whole thing. And as you can see, I have this, the charging handle rod trimmed down to basically flush, just about. So the nozzle was the problem. So it's kind of a good thing that it broke, because that means I can spend more time on this one. So now I gotta take this tiny punch and punch this out. Okay. Nope, didn't come out. Shoot. Oh. Oh, the spring already fell out. I'm stupid. Okay. So spring down in there. This bit down in there. Gets springy in there, and then you pin it. Okay. Now that that's in there, I have to reassemble my bolt. Okay. Now I don't drop this nozzle down onto the floor. Let me double check the fit. It's still a little kind of tight. I mean, that suction's good, but I don't want it to be too tight. See, it's not resetting the trigger because this bolt is not, it's like barely not going far enough. If I push that down there, now it works. So pull this apart again. I'm becoming an expert on how to take this apart and put it back together. I'm going to kind of especially this little middle beam here. I'm gonna try and cut that down a little bit. See, it's like it needs to just barely push in just a little more. Okay. Oh, come on. Okay. What if I add a little bit of lubricant? I don't know if I'm able to get it on camera, but that little bit of lubricant's helping. So for now, that means we can continue. We can actually get this thing done. So yeah, it's gonna be the 3x4 up here, the 3x6 on each side here, and the 2x6 here. I wanna make sure I'm getting this the right hole. So if I lay this down, so this, you can see the holes associated with this Picatinny here. So the back screw to hold the back plate on is going to go here, right there. Yeah, very, very clean, very good. Oops, I'm trying not to smack my screen with this long inner barrel here. Okay, how big are these M2s? Can I even screw them in? Oh my god, my littlest bit works. We're in business. All right. Now this one. Cool. Those are in. This is in. Still cycle that. Cool. Next step. Yes. So this little piece is the latch spacer. I believe they go on top of here, and then you screw this into there. Editing Peyton here. Previous Peyton is going to struggle with getting this spring into the stock for the next probably 30 minutes. What I would highly recommend doing is, if the spring is giving you too much trouble, what I did with it is I cut about 2 or 3 rings off of the spring to make it easier to compress. It still holds the stock on just fine, but if you're having a lot of trouble getting the spring underneath the latch mechanism when you're trying to insert it, I would recommend just cutting a couple pieces off of it and inserting it that way, as well as the screw and the spacer latch that goes into the stock. I would highly recommend getting some sort of magnetic Allen key or something that is long, thin, Allen key shaped and is magnetized, because trying to screw in the screw inside of the stock is extremely hard And that also took me at least 20 minutes for the one screw. Okay, I compressed it on the actual latch itself. It is now in. So now what I have to do, what I should have probably done in the first place, is take this little, take this little piece, and I gotta put it into, I don't know if you can see it, in that hole right there. And then I gotta put a screw on top of that. Shove that in the hole. So it's now in the hole there. Now, gotta take one of these screws, which is too short, I believe, technically. Okay. I don't think this is how it's supposed to go, but I truly don't care right now. This stock has been a pain in my ass for the last, like, 20 minutes. Okay. Let me make sure that the stock goes on here, which it does. And then pull down on this. Slides into position and holds. Pull down, slides into position and holds. Stock is good. Now I'm pretty sure we put the side plates on. Okay, we do. Those are 3x6, which are these ones. Yeah, 3x6. So these plates, I ran out of black, printed both, one in black, one in gray, and then I painted both of them gray so that they contrast with the gray of the stock. And they just pop, they pop pretty tight into place. I don't know if they would need screws. I mean, I guess if you're running hard, they might pop off, but they're like in there and they're holding that in position. Again, I don't think any problem here currently is a problem of the designs of this. If I haven't said it before, it is my printer. All of the black filament and whatnot that I used, there was always something wrong with it. It's old filament of mine, so I probably shouldn't have used it anyway, but I don't want to buy more, so. Cool. So the suppressor, here's the muzzle brake or thread protector, whatever you want to call it. Here's the suppressor. So you're basically going to line up the holes on this with the holes on this bit. I believe it's supposed to be this latch bit towards the suppressor, or the rail, because this will be on the bottom, so it'll be like that. So while that piece is printing in the meantime, at least I can show you this. Just goes on to here. Is a notch right here where it's supposed to be, or where the suppressor is supposed to end. I'd recommend sort of getting a spacer for that, or sort of, it should be at the bottom here, this little tab at the tip of my finger, because that's what's supposed to lock the suppressor in. Okay. This is the latch spacer. So we need a 3x10 and a 3x6, I believe, right? 3x6, 3x10. Okay, so 3x6. Third box. We put a 3x6 in this spacer. Sort of push it on or screw it on if it's not going. And then I believe this gets secured in here on the top side here. Go in. Okay. That's very sideways. Like very, I don't know if you can see that. The screw is going this way instead of this way. Try and correct that. Okay, that's what we like to see right there. Now, take 3x10. And this is where we need one of these tiny screws. And our 3x10. And we're going to, try and just get this over the 3x10. Okay. You're going to take your M3x10 here, the longer one, and one of these looking screws. These two, right here. Put the spring over the 310, and then that goes in this hole here. Work a little, but it's supposed to do that. Unlocked, locked, unlocked, locked. Like that. This is the little latch. This little bit right here is supposed to line up with that. So push it open to unlock. Line it up with the bit. Make sure it locks down on it, and there it is. Mine, I want to be offset to this side because this is where I want to mount a little laser light off to the side, kind of like it is in the actual ODST game. You can kind of see the chunk of it. So this is where I'm having mine. You're supposed to use two M3x8s and an M3x6 here. So there's a hole here and a hole here that line up with these two, and then the hole in the middle lines up with that one here. Screw it in. Again, you should be using, looks like M3x8s, 8mm. I don't have those. Editing Peyton here once again. You are supposed to use a countersunk screw for the middle section of the magazine plate. None of my screws were correct. Again, probably more me just not having a good plan and not buying the right parts from the beginning. So you're supposed to use a countersunk M3x6, I believe, in that middle slot. For now, I ended up just using a little bit of super glue just to hold it there. I will remedy this in the future. Editing Peyton here once again, back to back. Yeah, I know. This next bit you can see me beginning to struggle with here is the magazine release latch, this little bit on the side that sort of clamps the magazine in position. You're supposed to use a little, it's like, I think it's like a 10 millimeter little rod to stick into the bit to make it, you know, latch, open and close. Again, didn't have the parts because I didn't have the right list because I'm stupid. I just ended up using two M3x6 screws on the top and bottom of this thing to hold it in place. So if you happen to not have little tiny like 2 or 3 millimeter pins, you can just use M3 screws. The hole is big enough, and in my case it holds it just fine. And don't forget, in the clip you just saw there, there is one of those little teeny tiny springs that is supposed to go underneath the little mag switch, little mag catch plate there. I sort of pointed at the little hole that it goes in, and you're supposed to sort of put the spring into the hole and then put the magazine release plate on top of that and then pin it in place. I don't have a magazine spring is my problem right now, like one of the things to push the BBs. So for now, we need another one of these small springs. This is your little mag feed lips, essentially. So there's this little tiny piece right here. Right here. This is going to sit like that, and then when you put the mag in, it's going to do that. It's going to get bumped out of the way, and BBs will go that way. So we need this little spring to go right here. Put a second part down there. So it's in there like that. Then we take the other half of the feed lips here, sandwich it on top like this, and then we need some more 3x8 screws I don't have. You know what that means? 3x6 time. Flush. As flush as you can get it, because this is going to be laying down right here. It's actually going to lock in right there, like that. So then you would take this piece and you would put, there's a follower I have in here. This is your follower. You would put this, you'd put a spring on that, put that down there, and then sort of clamp that on the top. This says pins. That wasn't on my supply list. For future editing Peyton here. As you can see, here's the magazine done. You can see bits of metal in the holes there. that is this. This is just some 16 gauge armature wire. I just happen to have this lying around. This happened to fit in the holes. So that is what I have used to pin this magazine in place, or the magazine feed lips in place. And it works pretty well. Okay. I have the mag release back in. I had to relook up how to do that. It's very hard. It's a chore. It's a chore. Okay. That's in. Stock goes on the end. Pull down. Sorta maybe. And then maybe it'll help if I pull this out. Take the lower. Place it like this. Swing it up. Click it into place. And then pin this rear. And then this pin that I have a piece of tape on is very loose, but it will go in the front. Here is 99% of the build done. We have a rear sight, which I don't currently have a screw for, but it's going to go on the back here. Friction fits on pretty well. And then I do have a red dot right there. This here, M3x20. This is going to be the hop-up screw. Already a hole in the bag. This screw is going to go in this hole right here. So let's actually put on the top rail first. That is something I will say. I did mess up on the stock. It is entirely my bad. Do not blame Mr. Helios Spec Ops. I was supposed to use inserts for the stock, and I just completely missed that step. So I filled it with glue and used those as inserts. That's on me. I'm dumb. Cool. Cool. Now that I got those punched in there, these screws should actually hold on now. Okay, after all that, I have the top rail. Took me a minute, but we got there. The rear sight for now is just going to sit right there. The front sight I'm not going to put on because I'm going to be putting this little red dot where the front sight would be on the front end, like so. And then I do actually have a accessory for the flashlight here. This little cheap Amazon flashlight laser combo. It's actually pretty good for what it is. Magnetized charging and everything. So what I'm gonna do is shove this right about here and lock it into place. There we go. Now I'll little flashlight laser on there. Here's a better, not desk mounted look at the full SMG here. And obviously I don't have the magazine done, but that will lock into there. Okay, so I've made a discovery. I'm testing the spring in the mag right now. Make sure it fits and comes back. It's an M4 mag from, I don't know, e-bike. It's 6mm Pro Shop. You can see 140 round mag. I have cut like half of the spring off, and it seems to work pretty well. So again, here's our little follower feed bit here. I have these little armature wires that I'm using for pins for this. Hook that on there. Okay, so BB's in there. If I pull the follower into here, should all come out, and then there's no BBs in there, I don't think. It's the black follower. Well, I don't think the follower actually came out. Oh no, it's right there. So if I pull these out again. Yeah, there's the follower. I should make that a different color. That'll be my next part, making the follower a different color. So, cut down M4 mag spring seems to work. So, here is the fully finished M7S SOCOM. The mags do work, the mags do feed, or this mag does feed. My only problem is currently I only have regular AAP mags, and these do not hold enough gas to effectively show this thing firing. I may insert a clip of what I did get, the little bit of firing that I actually got, but it's not much. Overall, Helios did an amazing job designing this kit and updating this kit, and you know, being willing to answer questions about it. I'm very grateful that, you know, this is something that I could do and that I could make. I more than highly recommend checking out heliosairsoft.com. If you want to ask me about this, the comments of this video are not going to be the quickest way to get a response. Join the Helios Airsoft community Discord. That is where I am a lot of the time, and I would be able to answer questions about something like this. Or you can ask Helios himself, known as Spec Ops, on the server. I'm sure he'd love to answer questions about this, so please join that server. It means a lot to all of us for people who join and can, you know, bring good to the community. So let me know if you like this video. I know it's been crazy long, crazy rambly. I hope it was somewhat informative. Obviously, I'm not the best filmer. If you're planning to get one from Helios, or or you already have one, or you have one on the way, anything like that, please feel free to talk to us. We are here, the server is there to answer questions. It's there for a reason. Again, thank you so much for watching. The people who have watched all the way, love you, and soon, another project. And not over a year for another one. I don't want to wait that long to make another cool project like this. I want to do another one soon. So there will be another one soon. So see you soon.